Now though, we hop into this fresh best of 3 for Group Stage 2 of DreamHack Open 2014, DreamHack Bucharest. I'm Rifkin, joined today by Zombie Grub, and spawning here in the southern location of Waystation, it's going to be my Insanity's Jjakji.
In the upper right, as the red Zerg, it is Liquid TLO.
Now it is worth noting, Jjakji is a little bit favored in this matchup, going off of the bets on our channel here. But it's worth noting, TLO did just recently take a TVZ tournament. For those who missed it, it was a tournament with no Protoss, specifically an 8-man invite of some of the best Zergs and the best Terrans we could get our hands on. And TLO rode the TVZ train in the quarterfinals, semifinals, and grand finals to win it all over Heart 3-2. So I don't know, man. His ZVT's never been bad, and he just won that big TVZ tournament. I'm feeling pretty confident in TLO's chances in this matchup. Even though Jjakji is pretty much one of the best players in Europe at the moment, I wouldn't see this going as TLO, not by any means.
I wouldn't either, but I do want to see what each of their form is like. I feel like I've never really seen Jjakji off form, but I have seen TLO just have an off day. You know, and he even admits it, like on Twitter later on or something like that. So while his ZVZ looked pretty much impeccable from what I saw, his ZVT is still up, and you know it's arguable that his ZVZ opponent wasn't at Jjakji's level. So we'll see, you know, where TLO is today.
Now we did the pool first. Not actually opting to put the earlier gas down or anything. So he will be dancing around with speedlings for the time being against the expected Reaper to come, and that's perfectly fine. With good control and a couple queens, speed is eventually a necessity, but not this early. You can certainly get away with it. Jjakji, though, is pretty, I'd say, highly regarded for his Reaper control. Not necessarily about killing a lot of units, but his ability to scout seems to be unstoppable.
Right, scouting ability as well as when he does, he's able to use them with the Hellions it's pretty good. And this is a new map, which means that the third is a little more difficult to take. It's a little farther away. The creep spread's not really going to get there too fast. So, you know, 3 Reaper to really amp up the pressure with the Hellions wouldn't be out of the question. And that's exactly what's that's only the 2nd Reaper right now. I keep forgetting that he's still SCV scouts.
Yeah, well, that's Jjakji for you. Like I said, it's who needs a scan when you've got an SCV, I guess.
That should be a slogan for the t-shirt.
Well, if my Insanity is listening, I mean, that would be true for Jjakji. But the thing, too, is even if you just consider that the simple mineral cost of a scan versus an SCV, well, you don't lose, quote-unquote, 270 minerals. By scanning, you know, you kind of lose out on the opportunity to have it because that's no mule. The SCV costing 50 minerals, hell, if it dies, as long as it gets in there to see the gases, ends up being worth it. Scumbag of Nas, close. That comes up right over the top of the overlay. That's a bit unfortunate.
It is going to be Triple Reaper, by the way, so maybe thinking along the lines of what I was talking about, how much he can really stop the creep spread and therefore stop the third from getting down at a decent time for TLO. Already stopping the creep spread. Usually the top tumor always gets down, not with Jjakji.
Well, one of the other things beyond this, too, is he's poking both of the queens right now, not losing either of these Reapers.
Well,
yeah, I saw that too. But one of the things here is control is going to be very important out of Jjakji. He has to keep these alive. I think he's about to lose one. It looked a little bit close.
Silly Rift.
But look at this. He's still keeping this alive. This queen is going to die once that third Reaper gets involved. The drones are being transferred right now, but honestly, they might be better off body blocking.
You know, I know you get an earlier queen with the pool first, but I almost feel like it's just a wasted effort for Jjakji not to get the speed and like make sure the Reapers aren't gonna have their fun. Oh, but it's actually gonna be Roachborn.
He's gotta be really careful. Pulls out the one. But yeah, you know, that's a good point too. With the Roachborn coming down, Jjakji's spending a lot of time tangoing with the queens, and that's kind of the focus. With that third Reaper, you almost have to get the queen to make it worthwhile, right? But Roach Warren needs to be scouted, and I think Jjakji's going to try and go for it. Gosh,
he
that queen's
should.
low.
You should get the queen and then drive. Oh, it's
nice snipe.
Not bad. That was pretty good. But yeah, the next round that he goes in with a Reaper should be the one where he sends a Reaper just to almost suicide. But, you know, in TVZ, some people don't do it.
You know, Reapers usually get away from queens with 4 HP, with like 2 HP. I've not seen one get away with 1 HP for a long time, but that Reaper, man. But more importantly, TLO, how is he keeping such a calm head? He hasn't lost any queens yet, and at this point you usually see like 2 or 3 queens dead. Now granted, they are low and looks like they'll finally start to go down as they're running out of transfuses, but as you point out, the roaches coming out will be kind of the savior, I guess.
Did lose 2 Reapers right there. Not that they really help out against the roaches, but you only have so many units to begin with. Now, since the roaches were revealed, you know, there's still only 4. Now, it's a very fast lair behind this, and that's something that Jjakji doesn't know. But, oh, that's a misrally in the Hellions. Shouldn't even send them out.
Yeah, he's not going to lose them, though, at the very least. The wall for Jjakji is actually not complete yet, which is a little bit scary to consider. Sorry, I turned off the production tabs back on.
He's not doing the attack, though. I'm not sure if it's a fake quite yet. Okay, Jjakji does think he's doing the attack. It's usually like 7 to 10 roaches. These roaches might try and poke, because why not? Yeah, they're going to be able to get away.
Well, the Woodwinds and 2 Marauders in a bunker. These aren't going to get anything done.
Yeah, definitely not now. So this is like, these are what we used to see. Like, it really fell out of style, I guess, because people got really good with like queens and lings or what have you. But we used to get like 4 roaches on maps that were hard to take a third, so that Hellions would be a lot less effective. And we're seeing that again.
Let's get the Hellions kind of skirting around. There's a bit of a wall started for TLO, but kind of like Jjakji's, it's not fully off and looks like.
Yo, apparently we're just like the best casters because we don't lag.
Don't say that. Knock on wood.
No, now I'm gonna knock on wood. I'm sorry.
For those asking about the overlay, I don't know what the new one looks like, but DreamHack has heard the cries of Reddit and the feedback everyone's given. They've sent me a new. It was at the load screen, so I can't swap it out now. But there is a new overlay for us to utilize.
What you doing there, Hellions? Going to the main, apparently.
He's already spreading out though. This is gonna limit damage pretty nicely. Still gonna take some drone losses though. Not gonna be fun to deal with. 6 gone down so far, and almost gets the surround to completely shut those down. Yeah, nine workers killed. Not too shabby there for Jjakji.
Yeah. And, you know, the cost of 4 Hellions, and I believe you only did make 4 Hellions, and that's usually what number you make when you're pretty much deciding to dedicate them to the drone kill. It's not that bad.
That was a nice little scout there out of TLO. He actually sees Jjakji's got a lot of barriers coming down. He sees the tech lab spinning, so he knows it's going to be bio. There's always that bit of a fear too for Zerg players, because you see a lot of Terran players, like even Jjakji was doing it during IEM, if you recall. You know, playing up mech, mixing it up, doing something a little bit different than what would be normally expected.
I don't think this is a great positions for mech. It's a little too wide open. Oh, you can still mix it on a map, really.
I kind of wish it was mech though, because it's Roach Hydra that he's going to be coming against. And we've been seeing a lot of Terran players struggle with this composition. You know, not being up enough tanks out, being in the wrong position, not having the bio number to deal with it. But it confirms the Hydralisk, so he knows that has to be what's coming out. This wasn't just, you know, 8 roaches to shut down Hellions. There's an actual follow-through to it.
Yeah. I'm surprised he's not immediately trying to go into tanks.
You don't. I feel with Jjakji, and especially on a map like Way Station, the strength isn't going to be in tanks and taking direct engagements. It's going to be maneuvering around the army, again, trying to abuse that drop potential, something that Roach Hydra does leave a hole in its armor against.
The problem with doing that is that eventually they are going to attack straight up.
Yeah.
Like, you're right that they're like, it is maneuverability, but usually what happens is like you defend the 2-2 attack and then you suddenly have a lot of mobility that they can't deal with. You know, doing this, if he loses these units because he doesn't pay attention, which hopefully he doesn't, you know, it could get sour really, really quickly. That's an immediate counterattack from TLO.
You know, it's kind of sad too, because medevacs are so often used to looking out for those Mutalisks, but even like 12 Mutalisks clumped up don't exactly one-shot a medevac. Like 7 Hydralisks attack so fast, medevacs will just go down before they can even boost out of range. But he has been revealed, so he's just going to unload instead. Slowly pushing the middle of the map while this was going on too.
Sick creep spread by TLO.
Yeah.
It really shows how short the map is. He's almost over his opponent.
But it's only in these cross positions that the map is this short, quote unquote.
Yeah. Yeah. So he loses 2 units right there.
Oh, you know what? Actually, just speaking of these locations, sorry, before the engagement happens, island base versus Roach Hydra would be amazing.
Yeah, you're not having to try and like spread out your tanks if you were getting tanks. Oh, yeah, that's actually a good point.
But I mean, the third over here is really exposed. It's really scary.
Yeah.
And normally you don't take the space because you're worried about Mutalisks swooping in and destroying you. But if it's Roach Hydra, that's not going to be the case. So kind of a cool option available to Jjakji. Whether he utilizes it or not, we'll have to wait a moment to see. But the middle of the map is trying to provoke the engagement. The army's here very much on purpose, making sure TLO pulls out so that the medevacs here can go in. But TLO is left Hydras, he's left Roaches. He's not one to be fooled.
You can play a very patient game. Once that 2-2 finishes, TLO, I mean, he can push in and do a lot of damage. Jjakji is matching him supply for supply though. His upgrades, they're pretty much always going to be behind this attack that TLO is doing.
This, you know, we still don't have tanks out really, but this is kind of something we talked about before as well, where, especially in the past, you need to just overwhelm your opponent. There's no direct counter to Roach Hydra, right? Like the Hydra's damage is going to be insane no matter what. So you want to get so many Marines, so many Marauders that you can just try and overwhelm in one giant engagement. Are there any drops on the map? I don't think so.
Yeah, there they are. They were all the way up in front. Like I was watching for them too.
I was gonna say I don't think they got killed, but TLO is gonna push. This will prompt Jjakji to do a little bit of damage with that medevac drop while this is going on. This choke,
like, did he not see the Hydra?
I don't know, but I'm really worried about this choke because Jjakji's not gonna have a concave coming in against this. TLO does have a lot of numbers, and these numbers are going to dwindle fast. We'll check the army supply while this is going on, but Jjakji is also dropping. Deflected by TLO, not to be caught off guard while this is happening, and I don't know if there's enough. The roaches that are the buffer for the Hydras have finally fallen, but the Hydra's DPS is so high. They are these giant glass cannons, but Jjakji is simply out of units.
Yeah, man, that timing was very, very good by TLO. Hits just before 2-2 finishes. If 2-2 was finished in that entire engagement, I think it might come out even.
Yeah, I mean,
TLO might still win.
Well, I mean, look how few Hydras were left with that upgrade deficit, so to speak. But tank on the high ground gets shredded immediately. The reinforcements might not cut it. The SCVs were already pulled, and that drop didn't cause any counterattack damage. And TLO's Roach Hydra opening, man, I just wanted to point out, Tefl has beaten Jjakji with this in the past. If I recall, I think I've seen Bly do it as well. Although I think maybe Bly did the spilling on, I can't remember. But the point is, like, this is a strategy that's not all, like, this is already hard enough. This is difficult enough to deal with as is. But we've seen Jjakji actually follow it in the past. And once again, we may see it here. His army count is not really big enough to stop this counterattack, or this third base attack. It's not even a counterattack. It's just TLO still on the attack. But he'll clean up a bit on the retreats.
Ooh, going straight for the tanks. Trying to get them out of the way as fast as possible.
42 workers have died so far, unfortunately, for poor Jjakji.
TLO is only at 60, and again, we talked about if he survives this push, he does have that mobility where TLO is, you know, he's still on these, like, not really that great units when the opponent has 2-2, and Jjakji does have 2-2. So that's why we see Jjakji kind of pushing back right here. And on 3 base and only 60 drones, like, that wasn't like an attack that he could trade evenly and still be like perfectly okay. Like it's fine right now, but it's not like really, really great if he had gotten a 4th and some more drones.
Yeah, I mean, this is normally where you'd see some players on Team Liquid with a very, very heavy drone counts.
Yeah, some of them. I don't know what are you talking about.
Well,
but yeah, so.
Trying to disengage back off this, the problem is, like, a lot of TLO's reinvestment has been in Roaches so far. He's just now getting the Hydralisks out. Roaches are a necessary component. Well, Marauders and Marines kill Roaches no problem. They're not there to do damage. They're not there to be, like, the solo part of the army. They're just there to soak the hits for the Hydralisks so they can act as, like, a semi-artillery from behind, just dealing all of that damage so quickly.
I did not notice that Jjakji had a 4th up and ready to go. It's like...
I mean, it's floated over, but it's nothing close to safe, I would say.
No,
again,
but, like, I'm
shocked
he usually... Well, yeah, I'm shocked at that. I don't know about shocked, but it would be cool if he would have taken that island base. But to have a 4th already, especially after this attack, I mean, maybe like you're building it, but then the attack happens and you have to cancel or something like that. But it just means that it's worse news for TLO.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think he scouted it yet either because it just went down, right? Yeah, no information about it whatsoever, unfortunately. Small drop unloaded here towards the north. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to quite catch TLO off guard as he's establishing a new base while this goes on.
Yeah, so TLO doing a good job on the fence. He knows, you know, after that attack, you are going to be a little susceptible, so you're going to have to, you know, use your units until you can get that static D up. Now, usually, if this attack goes well, or at least it lasts longer, they start thinking about transitioning into Hive. We don't see an Infestation Bid or anything for TLO yet, so unfortunately, Roach Hydra... Oh, we did see an Infestation Bid, so the Hive just started. But yeah, the Roach Hydra doesn't get... It gets really bad after 3-3 is finished for the bio player.
And let's not forget, with Hive comes Blinding Clouds. Sometimes Blinding Clouds can be a bad investment if you overinvest in Vipers, but if you stick around that kind of perfect 3 number, sometimes more, I guess, depending on your opponent's tanks, but you're going to get so many Blinding Clouds down that as long as you take those tanks out of the fight, you win against the bio. And if there's no bio to buffer for the tanks, well, you clean up once the Blinding Cloud wears off.
TLO coming in from all angles.
Yeah, this is kind of TLO's MO. Unfortunately, there didn't come enough with on the backside. So the tanks, while not shooting the fronts, can't quite, or TLO rather, can't quite kill the tanks in the back. Now going to be pushed back once again by Jjakji, and this is a little bit scary because his supply is not where it needs to be. Jjakji has a massive lead over him. GG. Oh, we had a drop at the northern base where that was going on too. From TLO, or from Jjakji, so. Alright, Jjakji will take game number 1, and I'm going to quickly try and swap out that new overlay that's been given to me by the DreamHack people to use.